Thank you for the question. I cannot claim not to have heard about the controversy with regards to the Azura power plant project. I have also read the analysis you just mentioned on Premium Times regarding fact-checking and where the insinuation is made that it is the current administration that, in quote now, is culpable. Well, a lot of the misinformation out there is also because power transactions is novel, relatively new around here, and our people can easily misconstrue how the sector itself operates in terms of energy businesses. Now, the most important, the most critical agreement in any power sales globally is the PPA. That's the power purchase agreement. Now, it so happened that the previous administration had signed that as far back as 2013. You cannot say somebody now activated that agreement by subscribing to a partial risk guarantee in 2016. No, that's not the way it works. The PPA itself was a sufficient and complete document. If the state of Nigeria, that's Nigerian nation, failed to honor obligations inherent in the PPA, Nigeria will become liable. So subsequent instruments like the put call option, for instance, and the partial risk guarantee are mere instruments that were part of, or to give teeth to the PPA, or to give comfort, on both sides now. Let's examine the put call option. Now, the put call option is not normally deployed as far as energy transaction is concerned. It is a universal standard anyway, put call option. And that's why in the put call option, you have what we call the strike price. That is the price at which the owner, in a way, could repurchase or purchase the particular asset in question. But except we want to pretend, that's when we will claim that we are not aware of the political uncertainty in Nigeria as at that time and how that could bear upon investors. So a novel approach was decided by the handlers. I wasn't part of them, but I could imagine what they tried to do to ensure that they mitigate the concerns of investors that will be bringing in external funds for critical infrastructure such as power in Nigeria by introducing the put call option. And that's why you have that there as our own novel initiative, which has now become is West African standard. We don't know if some other nations will be adopting a similar strategy. Now, the partial risk guarantee signed under the administration of President Buhari is also in keeping with the dictates and the letters of the original power purchase agreement. And that is what would give global finance organizations like the World Bank the comfort to be able to get in. And that's why you must have seen World Bank mentioned in the transaction. So that's how it has gone. So the issue of who signed the agreement, no, the previous administration signed the agreement, no doubt about that. And the key agreement is the PPA. Now, to ensure that Nigeria does not lose out and we do not get penalized like we are currently in London with some other organizations who have sued us for breach of contract, to ensure that we do not fall in that same category, government must make efforts like President Buhari has now done. However, what I expect Nigerians to focus on is the cost of infrastructure, not only power infrastructure, virtually every infrastructure in Nigeria, and the latent engagement strategy deployed by Nigerians. Let's look at history. The point we are today, other countries were at that stage at some point in their national life, and they scaled it. Countries like the United States, and in fact, countries like China, like Malaysia, let me set aside countries like the US. We can say those ones are not recent examples. But now we have Singapore, we have Malaysia, we even have China. After World War II, China wasn't good. Even Japan was horrible as a country. But they look inward. So as engineers, our advocacy and our concern should be, how can we organically be able to generate technical capacity that will then improve our production capability, thereby reducing cost of production. Cost of production, how many plants, for instance, how many relief substations, how many substations do we produce locally? Do we patronize those who locally produce wires, cables all over the country? The best, if you are familiar with the cabling industry, for instance, you know that Nigerian cables, like the types called Denki in Ondo State, are some of the best nationally. So you'll be looking at how can we generate that local capacity to achieve that, such that our towers are made here in Nigeria and by Nigerians using technologies that Nigerians have firm grip of. How can we be responsible for the production of our transformers across grades? Transformers for relief substations on distribution lines, transformers on major injection substations, and even transformers at 330 and so on. Yes, how can we have Nigerian quotient and capacity in that regard? Because if that happens, it will appreciably crash the cost of developing and maintaining infrastructure. And how can we do all of that while being at globally recognized standards, so that it is not substandard? Those are the issues engineers that I expect Nigerian engineers to rise up to as key challenges, as core challenges. And these are doable. These are models that have worked for countries that we see as good examples today. China, Malaysia. Let's look at Malaysia. In the early 80s, Malaysia was like us. Malaysia, it's in fact recorded in history that the Malays were particularly lazy tribe, just like us, with due apology. However, what happened? When Mahathir bin Mohamad took over as Prime Minister, one of the earliest reforms he did was to challenge the Malaysian engineers, technology, and scientists that look at what China is doing, reverse engineer what China is doing, and give us made in Malaysia products. See, within the first 3 years of Mahathir taking over, Malaysia became, self-sustained as far as food production was concerned. Now, he did not rest, and that administration did not rest. Within the first 5 years of his premiership, he went ahead to challenge Malaysian engineers on the need for them to produce made-in vehicles. Now, the premise of his argument was that how many fields of rice will he sell in Europe to be able to buy a single, maybe made in Germany, Volkswagen, or some other vehicle brands? And that was the beginning of the success story of made in Malaysia vehicle, the brand known as Proton. In fact, by the turn of that decade, made in Malaysia car was the highest selling new car even in the United Kingdom. That is a testimony. So we want to evolve, we want to develop, you look at your environment. As engineers, the power sector is a key sector for us that we need to take charge of. When God was going to create things, God started with, let there be light. That means you need to fix electricity first. You pattern your development after the divine being, Almighty God. Fix electricity first. And when you fix electricity, look at how they have done it correctly. There are options before us today. Options, several options. There are places that are so far away from the national grid that do not require grid-tied connections. And that is the example we have had in the state where I currently provide support as a technical advisor. In Ugbo, for instance, in the Nigeria local government, we have been able to give them in excess of 80 kilowatt hour solar powered system that is adequate to support the entire community 24/7. That's uninterrupted power supply. We have given more of that to the Bagira community. In my house, you are aware, for instance, that we don't depend on conventional powering system. My house is off the grid. So, because charity, they say, begins at home. And if you do that, you will have addressed almost 40% of the energy needs in Nigeria. Because it is some paradox that we have the air, we have the sun, we have the water, we have the wind, and even we have adequate supply of natural gas in their various forms, and then we are suffering egregious energy poverty. It's unacceptable. So the question you have asked is important because we must continue to discuss this. But in practical terms, we must not discuss this because we simply want to talk about it. No, the goal must be we want to fix it. And that is why I just mentioned specific examples that are directly related to what I have done. And like I have stated, that can be escalated and implemented on a national scale. Some years ago, U.S. dependence upon coal-fired plants was upward of 70%. But look at the U.S. today. U.S. is gradually moving towards renewable energy. I agree. I concede that the energy quotient you will get from, let's say, coal or gas-fired plant, conventional powers, is by far superior in a way to what you can currently get from most of our renewable energy sources. But notwithstanding, the point is that we must clusterize, and ensure that we do not have an energy engagement strategy that is unitary. We must be able to create sections and address those problems, little by little, so that we don't attempt to do everything at once. That is the point I'm trying to make. That's why we need to empower even the local governments, the state government, and the national government should lead that initiative. I've stated this, and I can say it anywhere. We have had people who have had interactions with us from US 8, and they've seen that we are saying the truth. And we have examples I just cited too. Bagira power plant, and they are off the grid, being managed by the investor and the community people, and they are paying under the cluster offtake unit policy of the Ondo state government. So we can have that replicated all over the nation. However, areas that are within the national grid, then we concentrate maximally on them to ensure that we fix our distribution constraints. Of course, that may require tweaking the current structure, in fact, ownership structure of our distribution companies. From my own personal experience, I do not think the structure we have in place now is capable of driving the kind of change that would make our people have reliable 24 hours electricity. And I know that the federal government and the states have, I think, jointly about 40% equity in the current arrangement. So that can be done. Additionally, look at our metering engagement strategy. We've been faltering. We will say we will do this. We speak a lot of grammar, but we are not seeing results. And then you're asking, is procurement of meter and put meter in a home so difficult and sophisticated? You see, foreigners will be looking at us as baboons. That why are we doing this to ourselves? Now you need to fix metering because it's a critical success factor. Without fixing metering, you will deny the people, you can call them your customers, the opportunity to have confidence in the energy you're supplying to their homes. So it is a very important step to fix metering. And you can simply fix metering by just doing that without too much stories. So, by and large, in summary, I say the administration has taken the bull by the horn by embarking upon the Siemens Nigerian deal. That will take us from what we have read to at least 25 gigawatts. We need more than that. In 2013, I estimated our energy requirement to be in the region of 130,000 megawatts if we do not do anything in terms of energy efficiency and so on. But with energy efficiency drive, we may be able to crash that to about 80,000 megawatts. So that means that currently, in the minimum, we need to be working towards capacity in that region. So we need more of the Siemens Nigerian deal to be able to address our shortcomings in transmission, distribution, and ultimately in generation. But we can fast track that. We can leapfrog by empowering states, local government to also assist, and individuals, companies to assist in enabling myriads of mini-grid energy solutions. If we can get upward of a total of 40,000 from such an arrangement, that will bring us to the total that we need. So this is not rocket science. We can fix this sector. We can fix it. We have seen that practically being done. I have a typical example. I started from my own house. Take your house off the grid so that if NEPA comes in quote, you say, thank you, NEPA. If they don't come, you continue to have electricity. That is what I have done in my own house. But beyond that, I've also ensured that with the purview assigned to me on energy, as a special advisor on energy, that communities that are not tied to the grid can actually have electricity. And that is what they are enjoying in Ugbola today, in Ilaje. That's in Ondo State. And that's what is being enjoyed in Bagira, the other community. Uninterrupted electricity around the clock. And no home in Nigeria must be denied that opportunity. Thank you.